Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we are continuing our Node.js, and in this video we will be diving into models. Throughout this video we will talk about what models are, some of the types of models, which is CommonJS, ES model systems. We will look at how we can customize our models, that is create our own models, and we will also look at the global keyword. So for this and more, grab your notepads and let's get started. Alright, so Node.js or Node.js models. We split our code into different files to maintain, organize, or reuse our code whenever it's possible. A model system allows us to split, include, and import codes written by other developers whenever we require. So in simple terms, model is nothing but just a JavaScript file. Okay, so we have a definition here which states that node or models in Node.js is a simple or complex functionality organized in a single or multiple JavaScript files, which can be reused throughout your Node.js applications. Okay, so they are simply JavaScript files. Node.js has many inbuilt models that are part of the platform and comes with Node.js installation. So for example, we have inbuilt models like HTTP, we have file system, we have path, and many more. Alright, so now let's move on to some types of models systems we have. We have the CommonJS and we have the ES model. CommonJS and ES models are used or are model systems that are used in Node.js. CommonJS is the default model system for Node.js. However, new model systems were recently added to Node.js, which is the ES model. So old versions of Node.js don't include ES model, but new versions of Node.js includes ES models. So from this picture or from this code, we could see that CommonJS uses required to import models, okay, or import files or written or scripts, okay. So it uses required to import whatever script you've written or whatever code you've written in a different file, and it uses model.export to export this. So from this code, we could realize we are importing the file system, okay, and we are also importing the operating system. And here we are sending a message. This message we are exporting it, so this message will be available or can be imported in different code and use them. Okay, so for now, just know that with CommonJS, it uses require to import and uses model.export to export code. With ES model, it uses import to import the models and it uses export to export models. Okay, now let's look at some differences between them. So the first one is ES models are standard for JavaScript, while CommonJS is the default for Node.js. So the standard model system for JavaScript is the ES model, okay? And then the standard or the default one for Node.js is the CommonJS. Even though Node.js now handles or uses both the CommonJS and the ES model. Older versions of Node.js don't support ES model, as I stated earlier on. CommonJS is more flexible with models imports, okay? So in your line of code or in your code, you can import your models or libraries in any part of your code, it's being at the beginning or at the middle. But with ES models, you can only import it at the beginning. When you try to import it in the model, you will encounter an error. The last one I'll talk about is CommonJS loads models synchronously, whilst ES models load asynchronously. So with this one, when you are working on a very big project, that's where you're going to see the difference. But when you're working with small projects, then this won't be an issue. Let me explain what it basically does. So with CommonJS, let's say when you have 10,000 or let me say 100 libraries or models you are importing, it will have to import all of them before it move on and then run other scripts or other codes beneath them, okay? But with ES model, it can be importing them whilst running other codes, okay? But with Node.js or sorry, with CommonJS, it has to load all of them before, which can create some latency. Alright, so now let's look at custom models, okay? So we can create our own models and then import them in different codes or in different files. And right now we are going to work on creating a function for addition, another function for subtraction, function for multiplication and division. And these functions will be exported so that we can use them in our codes. Alright, so I've opened my VS Code and we are going to continue with our custom models, okay? So I have a file and I've created my models or my functions in already, okay? So as you can see here, we have the functions name, okay? and then we have the export. So export dot the function name, and we have the function here. It takes parameter. So the first one is for addition, the second one is for subtraction, the third one is for multiplication, and the last one is for division. Okay, so this is one way you can create your models and export them. Okay, you can also choose to do it this way. So add, and then you come down here, and as I stated earlier on, you're going to say models.exports. Great. And then you are going to pass in add. Okay, so let's do one for let's say division as well. Okay, so I'm just going to add comma, then division. Great. So this is the way we are exporting. Okay, so for the first file we are exporting by using the model.export. We can also export directly. Okay, and this is also going to work. Now let's move on to, let's say, our app. Okay, now inside our app we are kind of calling the model, so we are requiring, so we are using, currently we are using CommonJS. Okay, and as you can see here, let's finish with the CommonJS and I will quickly implement the ES model as well. So CommonJS, we are using the require to import the file. Okay, and then inside the file, so file.add, we are passing in 50 and 20. Okay, so if we are adding, we are expecting to get 70. Okay, and if you are subtracting, we are expecting to get 30. Okay, and then so on with the multiplication. So what right now I'm currently going to do is I'm going to open my terminal. I'm just going to type node and then app.js. Okay, just to run it. Oops. So subtraction, I'm getting an error at the subtraction bar. Says subtraction is not a function. Okay, let me check. Okay, let's try and then use the old method. Okay, so as we stated, or as we learned earlier on, we are creating the functions. Okay, and we are using the model.export to export them. And oops, let me just go. Yeah, so I'll just say subtraction and multiplication. Okay, so mod. Great. Let me check if there is any issue again. So model.export. So I'm going to save this and let's try running it again. Hopefully we don't get any error. Okay, so let me see if I can really make this one big. But as you can see here, the addition we had 70, subtraction we have 30, multiplication we have 1000, and then division we have 2.5. Okay, so we wrote the codes in this file, and now we've been able to call the codes or call the functions here and use them, and this is all with the help of CommonJS model. Okay, so this is the implementation of the CommonJS. Alright, so now let's move on to the implementation of the ES model as well. So I'm going to start with the add function, and you're going to use the export keyword. So you're going to say export. Okay, and you have to create a function, so it could be export var or export const, and then the name of the function. Okay, you can do it directly like this, or you can just come down here and say export and then the function name. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, and then before the name of the function I'll just replace them here. Okay, and then here, right? So now you are going to save it. So we've been able to export it. Now with the import, this is what you are going to do. So you are going to come here and let's say const import. Okay, and then the model. So we are just going to just go back to our directory and use const. Okay, and here we can import add, we can import subtract. So immediately I start typing, it pops up. You can import let's say multiplication. We can also import division, right? Great. So I'm having an issue here where it's saying all the import declaration are unused. Okay, we are about to use them. So what you are going to do here is we are just going to remove the calculator. Okay, and then it's will be left with only the models. Okay, so we are importing the models. What is the error again? Okay, so I think the issue has to do with this. So my bad. So it's just import and then the names. Okay, and then we have these ones here. So I'm just going to save that, and hopefully once we run the project again, we should get what we had earlier on. So Node.js or Node, and then the name of the file, which is app.js. So I'm going to run it again, and we're having an error saying, so to load ES model, set type model, then the package. Okay, we need to set up our npm before we'll be able to use this. Okay, so you can just say npm init. Okay, and then once you press enter, so you are setting up. So just try press enter for each of them. Great, so we've been able to. And I think what else, type model. Okay, let me check. Okay, hopefully you need to set type to model. Okay, in the package node. So I'm just going to copy this, and in our package manager we are going to set type to node. So I'm just going to see with the CommonJS we didn't have to do all these things. Okay, but with no ES we have to do some kind of configuration as well. So let's try it again. Oops, and what are they saying? Did you mean dash that? Okay, yes, that's what I meant. No, I meant this, and I think I have to add the EGS. Great, so I'm just going to start again. All right, so now we are having it, hopefully. I know we've gone through a lot, but at least you now know some of the possible errors you can. So with the CommonJS, you don't need to do all this thing. You don't need to set up your npm. Okay, but with ES model, if you want to use it, you have to set up your npm, and then you have to make sure you've included it here. So the type is model. Okay, and then with the important tool, you have to add the extension to it. Okay, and you'll be good to go. Now let's move on to the global keyword. So in our browsers, the top level scope is the global keyword. Okay, this means that within your browser, var something will give you a new global variable. Okay, I'm going to explain this here, and I also move you to the coding aspect or in a coding form, and I'll explain whatever I'm saying right now to you. Okay, so as I stated earlier on, in browsers, the top level scope is the global scope. Okay, so whenever you create a variable, so var something, when you try to, if you want to access that variable, you can use global dot the variable name and access whatever you stored in. Okay, but with Node.js, this is different. It doesn't work that in Node.js. Okay, the top level scope in Node.js is not the global scope. Okay, var something inside Node.js model will be a local to that model, and then when you try to use the global word to access that, you will get a null value. Okay, now let's look at some of the global keywords in Node.js. We have console.log, we have set time out, we have clear time out, we have set time interval and clear time interval. And I'm going to show you a couple of things we can do with this in our code. So now let's dive into the code again. All right, so now I've opened my VS Code, and I want to explain it to you a little bit when it comes to the global word. Let's say in Node.js, we have a keyword, say a global word, and the values or the variables we can get here are console. So we have console log here, right? Oops, we have console log here where we can console log anything, any message. Okay, so this one, when you run it, you see we have some hello here. Okay, let me close the terminal here. So we have some hello here. You can also use the terminal to run it by typing node and then the name of the file, whatever file you're using, but I want to just use this one. You can click on the play button here. Okay, so we have the hello world here, and we have different ones as well. We have something like set timer, set time intermediate. We have global set interval. Okay, time interval, set time out. Okay, so we have a couple of them, like I stated earlier on. Okay, and with Windows 2, which is the browser, we have those same things. So we have console.log here, of which you can use to console log. Also have global, for which, sorry, Windows window dot set time interval, set time out, set time intermediate. Okay, so we have all these ones, and you can shorten them. Okay, so depending on the environment you find yourself, if you are in the Node.js environment, it will automatically prefix that with the global word. If you are in the window or the browser environment, it will automatically prefix that with Windows. Okay, so that is the difference, or that is the difference when it comes to the word and then the global. Okay, and I stated something when you have var something. So let's say var message. Okay, and then you input any information here. When you are in the browser environment, once you log once you console log window dot message, you see you have the message here. Once you console log window dot message, you are going to get this hello. Okay, but with the global, once you console log this, let me see, message. Once you console log the message, let's find out. You see, we are getting undefined, right? Yeah, we are getting undefined, which means in Node.js we don't have, when you declare a variable, it doesn't belong to the global scope. Okay, it just belongs to this model. When I say this model, just this script file. Okay, if you want it to be visible or used by different scripts, then you have to export it. Okay, using whether CommonJS or Node.js. Yeah, so I think that is it for the global word. Yeah, so I will end this video here, and I hope you really enjoyed it. So just a quick recap: we've looked at what models are. So they are basically codes written in different files, which you can import them and use them. Okay, look at the two types you have. We have the CommonJS, and then we have the ES model, right? And we look at some differences, and we also spoke about the global variable, right? Naming that in browser, once you create a variable, it belongs to the global scope. But in Node.js, when you create a variable, it doesn't belong to the global scope. And this is where I would like to draw the curtains down when it comes to node models. If you really enjoyed this video, kindly like this video, comment in the comment section, share this video with friends, and see you in the next video.